So, Trump supporters, if you're not worried now about the economy, now is the time to be worried. Nebraska, Tyson Foods. They're the largest meat producer in the country. They're closing their Nebraska beef processing plant because of Trump economics. Cattle costs have risen $2 billion because of Trump's tariffs, and it has resulted in a net loss of $425 million in 2025 to date for Tyson Foods. So they're closing their meat packing plant, and 3,200 employees in this small town with only 11,000 residents are losing their jobs. 3,200 employees, and I can guarantee a vast majority voted for this. And it doesn't end there. Tyson is taking their 3-shift slaughter operation in Texas down to 1 shift. So a lot more people at their Texas facility are going to be let go. When you talk about big industries now being affected, not the small guy, but those at the top of the food chain being impacted and closing down, we are in a world of economic hurt. And this is just the beginning, because this Trump administration is not focused on fixing the problem. They keep creating more. And I got to tell you, just this Tyson food location in Nevada, there are so many suppliers, so many vendors, contractors every single day that did work for this Tyson facility, whether inside the building or outside the building. These are big contracts that these local businesses are now going to lose. So they're going to be affected as well. Expect more layoffs and bankruptcies downstream of Tyson Foods.
Well, look at this. Tyson is closing a plant and laying off workers in Lexington, Nebraska. You heard me correctly. Tyson laying off 3,200 workers in a red state of Alaska. Yes, Lexington, Kentucky, 72% in that county voted for Donald J. Trump, and that is a huge employer is Tyson. We are starting to see the big FAFOs in Donald Trump's failed economic policies. Donald J. Trump is horrible at business, and I can prove it to you. He has gone bankrupt 6 times. He has 20 plus failed businesses. He has blown through an inheritance and money after money. When you are bad with money, you will always be bad with money. The only way he is making money right now is scamming people and using this office of presidency to get and make his family richer. Tell me I am wrong. FAFO, Nebraska, FAFO.
So Tyson has 4 plants total in the state of Nebraska, but let's talk about the one in Lexington that's closing after the announcement yesterday. It's going to close in January of 2026, and it's a loss of 3,200 jobs. It sits in a rural community that the city, or it's not really a city, it's a town, that it sits in has anywhere between 10 and 12,000 residents. The census says 10. And that's a third of the community. That's going to impact all of the local businesses and service providers in that area. And they're going to see a huge drop in foot traffic and money coming in. And most of those will probably go belly up too. It will probably cause that town to become a ghost town because things are going to close and people are going to leave. But let's talk about the other 3 plants that still reside in Nebraska. You know, they have a tendency to employ people that are going through the immigration process. Now, it doesn't mean they're illegal. It means that they're going through immigration. And they have these registration ID cards and whatever. But if our state is going to align with the policies of going after immigrants who are hardworking people but aren't currently naturalized, then their employee pool is pretty reduced because the average citizen that was born here doesn't usually work at those plants. It's hard work. It's really hard, nasty work for low pay. And I wouldn't be surprised if they choose to move the other 3 plants out of the state, because our politicians, Senator Fisher, Senator Ricketts, and the 3 representatives, Adrian Smith, Don Bacon, and Mike Flood, are heavily aligned with this current administration. And even our governor, Pillard, also aligns with the top dog. And since they do, they're aligning with the policies and passing policies in this state. I mean, we have the Cornhusker Clink, which is, a detention center here in Nebraska. And why would these businesses stay in a place where they know that they're close to loss of their employee pool? Voting has consequences, and in the state of Nebraska, the consequences are real. And those that wear the hats don't see it, but they're going to start feeling it. And I actually think they need to feel it in order to understand voting has consequences.
So the FAFO train is stopping in Lexington, Nebraska. The Tyson beef factory in Lexington, Nebraska just announced that they are closing their doors. This is going to affect 3,200 workers in Dawson County. Dawson County voted 72% for Bone Spurs. I wonder if bathrooms and making Riley Gaines feel less mediocre was actually worth it. It is no secret that Nebraska has been feeling it ever since this spring. The tariffs really hit them hard, and the rolling back of all of the programs that Joe Biden put into place really hit Nebraska to the point where they were already yelling bankruptcy in May. And Bone Spurs kind of knows that his tariffs are the reasons why the prices of groceries and everything else has gone up, because on November 13th, he signed an executive order to undo his executive order. And he's seeking praise for fixing something that he broke. He signed an executive order to remove tariffs from things like beef, coffee, bananas, and tomatoes, as well as some other things. And this is undoubtedly so that he can say that his policies are bringing prices down when people finally start seeing relief for the items that he canceled his tariffs on. But the thing is, he created the problem. He created those price hikes. So signing this order to bring the prices down for items that he deliberately brought the prices up for isn't a win. But he's going to claim it's a win, and his people are going to believe him. But here's the problem when it comes to our beef farmers. The tariffs on beef were kind of keeping them in the game, especially since Bone Spurs went behind their back and made a beef deal with Argentina. Because the tariffs are on imports, meaning everything that we get from other countries is tariffed, that means that the stuff that is made here in the United States was cheaper than the stuff that we got from other countries, which gave the cattle ranchers and beef manufacturers a little bit of a leg up when it came to selling their beef against the competitive market of other foreign countries selling their beef here in the United States. Now that Bone Spurs has taken the tariffs off of beef, and he has screwed the cattle ranchers when it comes to the Argentina deal, as well as leaving tariffs on things that those companies need in order to do their day-to-day work, increasing their overhead costs while also decreasing how much they make and how much they can sell. Taking the tariffs off of beef at that point for imports makes those imports cheaper than the American beef. And thus, people will probably start buying more of the imported beef than the American beef. I really think he has something against cattle ranchers. And the cattle ranchers overwhelmingly voted for Bone Spurs. Were the bathrooms worth it? That's just all I want to know. Leave it down in the comments if you're a cattle rancher and you voted for Bone Spurs. Were the bathrooms really worth it? Was it that important to you to make sure that people of color and marginalized communities don't get a fair shake at work? Was telling it like it is worth your livelihood? This is a lesson for you. Racism and bigotry is expensive. Listen, while you guys are pinching pennies over the holidays to prepare for your factory closing, the rest of us are also going to be closing our wallets. November 25th through December 2nd, we aren't spending anything. And being that you should probably go ahead and save that money, you should probably join us and not spend anything as well. Most of us are going to be cutting back for the rest of the year. And like I said, since you'll be pinching those pennies now because you'll soon be out of a job, you should probably get on that bandwagon too. I hate to say I told you so, but 92%.
Tyson Foods is closing down a major beef processing plant in Lexington, Nebraska. Let's talk about the effects of what this is going to bring. This causes a false sense of supply and demand issue within the area. With a plant that closes that was doing upwards around 5,000 head of cattle a day, those cattle are going to have to go somewhere else. And you can guess who owns the next closest processing plant. You got it right, Tyson Foods. So now that Tyson's other plant is being flooded with beef, they're going to be able to set the price that they're buying these cattle for, screwing over the ranchers and the sellers who are selling them these cattle, because the buyer sets the price, not the seller. So Tyson buys these animals for less. They still have the same amount of demand, so they're going to be charging you, the American consumer, the same price or even higher prices because now they have to process more cattle. Tell me how that works. But this is all part of the game plan that goes unchecked and unchallenged. These people are allowed to do this whenever they want because they control the market. So the rancher makes less, you pay more, Tyson makes billions of dollars. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below.
So Tyson's Food just announced they're permanently closing their beef processing plant in Lexington, Nebraska. And when I say this is going to devastate the town, I am not exaggerating. This plant employs 3,000 people. The entire town only has about 11,000 residents. So do the math. That's over a quarter of the entire town about to lose their job. And here's the kicker. The closure date is on January 20th, 2026. Exactly 1 year after Trump's inauguration. Isn't it fucking poetic? Now, Lexington is in Dawson County, which is in Nebraska's 3rd congressional district. This is a deep red Trump country. These folks voted overwhelmingly for the fucking orange turd. And now, Trump's tariff on Brazilian beef and his border closure to Mexican feeder cattle have squeezed the cattle market so hard that Tyson is hemorrhaging money and shutting down plants. Oh, and it's not just Lexington getting fucked. The Amarillo, Texas plant is getting reduced to a single shift, cutting another 1,700 jobs. Also is in Trump country. Listen, I'm not happy about people losing their jobs. That's genuinely terrible. But this is exactly what happens when you vote for a guy whose entire economic policy is tariffs, fix everything. You voted for this. Literally. And before you come for me, I haven't had a job for a year and a half, okay? So